Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome all of you to our Srimad Bhagavatam study. And we are going to continue our discussion from the first canto, third chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we are on the verse number 4. We will be starting from today. So if you have access to Srimad Bhagavatam, you can open the book and open first canto, third chapter, text number 4. So you can repeat after me and you can remain muted. And after we finish chanting the verse, you can then, one of you can read the translation. Pashyanta pamadabra chakshusha Sahasrapadorubujananadbhutam Sahasramurda Shravanakshi Nasikam Sahasramaulam Barakundalolasa.
The devotees, with their perfect eyes, see the transcendental form of the Purusha, who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary. In that body, there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings and are adorned with garlands.
So the first line of this verse, Pashyant adorupam adabra chakshusha. So basically here we see in this verse, the Garbhodaksha Vishnu is described. And we will find this kind of verses you will find every day we chant in our deity worship. There are a lot of verses. So coming back to this verse, so here Garbhodaksha Vishnu is described how he has thousands of eyes, thousands of hands. So this is the way the Lord is glorified in the Vedas. So this Bhagavatam verse, which we have just now chanted, is indicative of the mood of Vedas. Like in the morning we chant from Rig Veda. I chant these verses when we worship Shaligram in the temple. Om Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat Sabhumim Vishvato Vritva Atyatishta Dashangulam. This is the same meaning, that the Lord has thousands of heads and Lord is all pervading. So this is like to create a lot of awe and reverence for the Lord. So like this, there are many verses. Om Purusha Evedam Sarvam Yad Bhutam Yachabhavyam Udambratatva Sheshanah Yad Annena Tirohati Om. So we chant all these prayers to glorify the Lord. And so this way, you will find more prayers like this in the second canto, 6th chapter. When we go there, we will see many such prayers. And now I would like to request you, Mataji, if you can also read the purport, and I'll tell you when to stop. The whole purport is actually very powerful. It will be very good to read. So please read, starting with the sentence, with our present materialized senses.
With our present materialized senses, we cannot perceive anything of the transcendental Lord. Our present senses are to be rectified by the process of devotional service, and then the Lord himself becomes revealed to us. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that the transcendental Lord can be perceived only by devotion, pure devotional service. So it is confirmed in the Vedas that only the devotional service can lead one to the side of the Lord, and that only devotional service can reveal him. In the Brahma Samhita also, it is said that the Lord is always visible to the devotees whose eyes have been anointed with the tinge of devotional service. So we have to take information of the transcendental form of the Lord from persons who have actually seen him with perfect eyes, smeared with devotional service. In the material world, also, we do not always see things with our own eyes. We sometimes see through the experience of those who have actually seen or done things. If that is the process for experiencing a mundane object, it is more perfectly applicable in matters transcendental. So only with patience and perseverance can we realize the transcendental subject matter regarding the absolute truth and his different forms. He is formless to the neophytes, but he is transcendent, he is in transcendental form to the expert servitor.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mataji. See, this is a very, very powerful purport where it is explained, when we read such verses in the scriptures which talk about how the Lord has thousands of eyes and the Lord is powerful, invoking a lot of awe and reverence like this verse. This is a very beautiful verse because you will find all the Vedas, when they glorify Lord, those verses are exactly like this fourth verse which we have chanted now. So it is important that we spend some time discussing this verse because you will find these kind of verses in the Vedas. So when Lord is glorified like that, we start wondering, oh, how can God be like this? Therefore, Srila Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport here saying that we cannot see the Lord with these eyes. These senses have to get purified. The Brahma Samhita says, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. When our eyes are anointed with the salve of love, when there is love, then we can see the Lord. So therefore, this is very important. And if you see, there is a very, very powerful sentence Srila Prabhupada writes in this purport about patience and perseverance. With patience and perseverance, only we can realize Krishna's subject matter. The transcendental subject matter can be realized with patience and perseverance. This is extremely important because many times we want to realize God, in a way. We want everything to happen so fast. But spiritual life is not about, overnight success. Spiritual life, just like in material life, don't you need patience and perseverance? Ask yourself. For success in this world, whatever field, don't you need patience? Don't you need perseverance? So how can we not have the same rule for spiritual life? And sometimes we don't have faith. We think, oh, but if I have patience and I persevere, what if I don't get Krishna? Or what if this is all simply theory? Therefore, we need faith also. Of course, this is not blind. There's a difference between blind faith and there's a difference between reasonable faith. When you go to a doctor and the doctor says, take the medicines, we don't tell him that you first cure me, then I'll take your medicines. We invest faith. We take the medicines, we see it works. Of course, that doesn't mean that we accept any man wearing a white coat as a doctor. Just because you have been fried out by some doctors doesn't mean all doctors are bogus. Just because some people cheat in the name of spirituality, that doesn't mean everybody is a cheater. So reasonable faith means you see this doctor has cured so many patients, so I have some faith in him based on this record, and then I invest my faith by taking the medicines. Similarly, we see that this process has worked for so many people over the centuries. Srimad Bhagavatam is the elixir, and that's what many devotees have spoken. So let us then dive into Srimad Bhagavatam with faith, and then we will be able to experience Krishna's presence in our life. So this one life to give for Krishna is nothing. We can understand. There are people who spend, like even in Christian tradition, I was reading the biography of one saint called Teresa of a place called Avila. So she writes in her biography, she's a great saint. She's very much revered in the Christian tradition. And she says, her first 40 years in the monastery that she lived as a nun, she says, my entire life was spent in frivolity. She says, I slipped so many times, I struggled with my senses. First 40 years was a struggle for her. But she kept on chanting, she kept on doing her spiritual activities with patience and perseverance. And then one day, Krishna gave her mercy. She went on to become a great saint. So even in our Krishna conscious tradition, the very definition of sadhana bhakti, we are practicing what is called as sadhana means practice. So we are practicing Krishna consciousness to realize and experience God. So sadhana bhakti becomes, the definition of sadhana bhakti is it has to have three criteria. The devotional service that we are practicing is considered as a bona fide process if it fulfills three criteria. The first is a sadhana bhakti means that which is performed for a long time. Long time. It's not an overnight project or a 1 year project. It can last for decades. It's a long time project. That is the first criteria for sadhana bhakti. Sadhana means a practice which lasts for a long time. Secondly, very important, there is no interruption in our practices. Many times, if you're a member of some club, let's say you're a member of a Lions Club or Road Track Club, and let's say you are active, but because of some important family obligations, you are no longer active for some time. That's okay, right? You cannot do those activities of the club. There can be interruption in your activities. But remembering Krishna, chanting Krishna's holy names, if there is an interruption, then it doesn't fulfill the criteria of sadhana. Practice means not only it is for a long time, also there is no interruption. That is the second criteria. And third, very, very important is, along with no interruption, along with a long overall for sadhana, the third very important criteria is we have to invest our emotions in sadhana. Emotions have to be invested, which means, it can't be just a ritual. In India, there are a lot of people who are addicted to rituals. But sadhana bhakti is where there are three criteria. What are the three criteria for sadhana bhakti? What is the first one? It is for a long time. Secondly, there is no interruption in the practice. And third, we have to add emotions. Only then it becomes a practice. Unfortunately, what has happened to many of us is that we live in the times, 21st century, where unfortunately we are addicted to quick thrills and stimulation. So when we come to Krishna consciousness also, we expect to get some immediate excitement in our spiritual, stimulation in our spiritual practices. We want to feel ecstasy in bhakti. No, that's not sadhana bhakti. Means there could be long, dry phases. Just like if you're married and the grahasthas have this good experience, it's not every day you're not feeling ecstasy. It's all duty, dedication. Similarly, in sadhana bhakti, it's for a long time with dedication, with no interruption and adding of emotions. But unfortunately, when we look for thrills and frills, we become happiness addicts and we want kicks. Happiness, I want to spend some time on this because when we come to Krishna consciousness, we expect a lot of happiness. And initially we may get some excitement because everything is new in bhakti. Like there is the first time you went to Vrindavan, there is the first time you chanted Hare Krishna, the first time you went to a temple. And after some time you get bored because the same things you're doing. And the holy places, after some time you realize the holy places are same. We're not inventing new holy places. So then what do you do after 15, 20 years? Do we leave Krishna consciousness because everything is boring? No, we need to invest emotions. All three criteria, it's a triangle. Emotions, long time, and no interruption. Otherwise, if we're addicted to happiness, then we can stoop to any extent. We can stoop very low just to get a kick, just to get some happiness. Happiness till the beginning of 20th century was understood differently by people. Happiness was not what is understood today. Today, the propaganda is happiness is my birthright and I shall have it. Every self-help motivational speaker encourages you to be happy. He says life is full of happiness, be positive. But a person who has seen and experienced life in its fullness will know that life is not about happiness. In fact, till the beginning of 20th century, happiness was considered as something which you get by chance. You may get, you may not get. And happiness was considered as one of the different emotions that we go through in life. Like, we have many seasons, like we have rainy season, summer season, winter season. So happiness, sometimes anxiety, sometimes misery, everything. Life is a package of all emotions. And people are focusing on a purpose, whether it is their household, whether it is the nation, whether it is something else. And as a part of pursuing that purpose, different emotions come. Happiness also comes. Sometimes it doesn't come. You ask a mother, some of your mothers here, I guess. parents, I can say fathers, fathers also, I guess. So parent, you ask the parent, do you love your child? Yes, I certainly love my child. But are you always happy because of your child? Is happiness the only emotion because of your child? What are the different emotions that you go through because of your child? Anxiety, anger, stress, and sometimes happy also. But when we are addicted to happiness, then we will break all relationships. Then we may stoop down to drugs, pornography, just to get a kick. We can go to any extent, because life is not about happiness. Life is about a purpose. Happiness may come, may not come. So when we are practicing sadhana bhakti, when we are chanting Hare Krishna, hearing Bhagavatam, if you are looking for a kick, if you are looking for an experience all the time, then you may get disappointed. What we are looking for is dedication and perseverance. Prabhupada has written very clearly in this purport. What did we read in the purport? Patience and perseverance, both are needed. And the best part, if you really want to be happy, I'll tell you a paradigm shift. You can try this. I tried this with one of my very close friends, and it really worked. One interesting paradigm of experiencing deep peace is learning to embrace misery. We generally, when you're making a choice, you make a choice by thinking which choice will make me happy, right? And what happens then is, because every action we undertake in this world, it's like a coin. Coin has two sides. We look only at the bright side, and then we choose that coin. But when the other side shows up, we go crazy. So therefore, I suggest always that when you're making a choice, like one of my friends recently had a very big decision to take. And he was like, I didn't want to get into the ethical part, right, wrong, good, bad. I just told him, which of these two choices, consider the misery in both choices. What are the miseries in both choices? So he listed down. I said, which misery is okay for you? So he said, this misery is okay for me. If option A, the misery I can handle. Then I said, go for it. Because there will not always be misery. You will also get happiness, because every activity you perform, you will always get both. So when you get happiness, you'll be grateful. When you get misery, you already expected it. You'll be more peaceful. So many times, we have this addiction, and we have hyped up happiness. There's a lot of propaganda about happiness. Many times I tell my sometimes, like I'm a little tired, or I'm involved in some issues at home, handling so many things. Sometimes I'm not really happy. Like I tell my friends sometimes, I'm not happy today, but I'm okay. I mean, it's okay to be not happy. The propaganda here nowadays is, if you're not happy, there is something wrong with you. Why? I'm not happy, but I'm okay. So we need to puncture this myth that is being propagated. So Bhagavatam Srila Prabhupada is emphatically writing here, patience and perseverance is needed. And then we can experience Krishna. So therefore, with this, we will continue our next verse. So Garbhudaksha Vishnu has been glorified. Now we'll chant text number 5. Please repeat after me, and then Mataji can read the translation. Etannanavataranam nidanam bijam avyayam yasyam sham shena shrajyante devatiryannaradaya.
This form, the second manifestation of the Purusha, is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities like demigods, men, and others are created.
So here, if you see the second line, it says Nidanam Bijam Avyayam. This is very important. Avyaya Bija means inexhaustible seed. Nidanam means source. So Lord Vishnu is the source, is the source of all the incarnations, and is the inexhaustible seed. Like, when a seed grows, when you see a seed growing, it grows into a plant. And then when the seed grows to a plant, the seed is not seen. And the seed also creates only one plant. But Lord Vishnu is called as Nidhanam Avyaya Bijam in this verse, which means he is different from an ordinary seed because he is the seed from which many plants come, many forms come, and he doesn't disappear. He remains. Millions of incarnations will come from him, but he will remain the seed and he will be the source of more incarnations. So this is very, very important. Now, I want to clarify. Last time we had a long discussions on Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Shirodaksha Vishnu. Now, I want to enter into a very deep philosophical point here. I need your attention. That is, we have to understand what is the purpose of all these incarnations. See, if you are interested more in technical details of all the incarnations, it is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And you will find many websites in ISKCON where this is explained. I have my devotee friend here in the temple who is expert in all the universal planetary systems. In fact, I consult him all the time. But there are many scientific things which I don't understand, honestly, because I'm not from a scientific background. But I relish hearing those classes because I know that when the speaker is speaking with passion, I know that he has understood it. And I bask in his presence, feeling joy that somebody has understood it. And when I have a doubt, I ask them. So this universal creation, I have understood the intention of the Lord in having all these incarnations. And that is sufficient for me at my level, considering my understanding and my capacity. So the purpose of these incarnations is to convince the conditioned souls to accept servitorship of Krishna. Because it is difficult for Krishna also to convince us to surrender to him. We are rebellious souls. We have come to the material world. So Krishna creates an amazing, elaborate plan so that we can come back to him and we can accept his masterhood. So this is very important because we have a false ego and our false ego is very strong. So Krishna has created a complicated setup of Mahavishnu from whose body this pradhana, material energy comes, and this pradhana becomes Mahat Tattva, and that transforms into Ahankara or false ego. And Ahankara manifests into three modes, Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. And Ahankara in goodness creates demigods. Ahankara in ignorance creates the five elements. Ahankara in passion creates the intelligence. So now you may say, but wait. Can we go slowly? Yes, you can go slowly. It is like you go to a market, and when you go to a market, you buy tomato, aloo, capsicum, you buy all the sabji. And then you come home, and then you cook a particular vegetable, a particular preparation. So that preparation is final. But it has come from a situation where these vegetables were existing independently. Right? Similarly, all the material ingredients, when they are existing separately, they are called as pradhana. And when you take all of them and little portion of each of, like you take little aloo, little tomato, little capsicum, and then you mix them and the sabji is created, that is compared to Mahat Tattva. So what happens is basically in the beginning of all creation, all these elements, 23 elements that we discussed last time, mind, intelligence, earth, water, fire, all of them, they are all coming from Mahavishnu and they exist separately. But in our body, they are all mixed in a certain proportion. So all these elements are generated from Mahavishnu's body. Then these elements combine with each other to form a fetus, a universal fetus. And Mahavishnu, what he does is, he expands himself as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and he enters into that universe, that fetus, and fills that universe half with his own perspiration, which is called as Garbhodak Ocean, Garbhodak Sagar. And he sleeps in that ocean, and Brahmaji comes from his universal, that lotus comes from that, and then Brahmaji comes, and that universal lotus is a subtle form of all the planetary systems that are there, and all the demigods and 84 lakh species, all the varied creation happens after that. So like this, it may appear externally to us extremely complicated. And we may wonder why Krishna has to do all of this. Because we are not ready to serve him, because we are not ready to accept servitorship of Krishna, Krishna creates this system. He comes again and again to attract us. See, we can see the consistency of his intention here. He is consistently doing all this so that we turn to him. His intention is always same. The conditioned soul has to give up enjoyment, he has to give up his independence, and he has to enjoy with me in the spiritual world. And therefore, there are different categories of incarnations: Purusha avatars, Guna avatars, Lila avatars, Manvantara avatars, Yuga avatars, Shaktavesh avatar, like that. Now, how to understand all of this? Srila Prabhupada once said, Krishna is, there is one purport that Srila Prabhupada writes: you cannot understand Krishna without being a lover of Krishna. Without understanding Krishna, the intention, we cannot understand Krishna. And once Srila Prabhupada said, you cannot understand Krishna. So one devotee said, Prabhupada, you wrote so many books. Then if you cannot understand Krishna, then what is the use of so many books that you have written? Srila Prabhupada said, I have written so many books so that you understand that you cannot understand Krishna. Because Krishna is not, if you can figure out Krishna completely, if I can figure out God completely, that means I am God. I am greater than God. God by definition has to be somebody who is beyond my comprehension also. Therefore, some things will not fit into our comprehensive ability. Some things will, because God has to be understood also. But if it's understood completely by us, then we are greater than God. No. Therefore, God has to be greater than us. So how do we read this Bhagavatam? How do we study these kind of technical classes? Simple. When I hear these kind of classes, which I don't have scientific mind, then what I do is I follow this principle. I'll share with you. See if this will work for you, because some of you may have different, some of you may be scientific minded and you may like the scientific part, but you may not be comfortable with the Leela sections of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So whenever we are not comfortable with some aspect of scriptures or it doesn't appeal to us, our intellect, then we need to follow the system, the principle of receiving the sound. I'll clarify. Have you ever gone to a mountain for a nature walk? Or have you gone on the bank of an ocean? Or we go to a forest many times. When we go there, do you carry your notebook and pen? Do you write everything you observe? No, you go there not with the, you don't go there to analyze. You don't go with your intellect on. You go there with your heart on. You try to receive. You try to be present, right? So, Srimad Bhagavatam also primarily has to be received in that mood. In the sense, just like you go to a mountain for being present, we come to Srimad Bhagavatam class in that mood. Just like, when you go to an office, when you go to your office or when you go to work, or you go to a school, you don't go to feel the energy there. You go with an agenda, there is a discrepancy you want to catch up, you want to, there are certain gaps you want to fill, and there is a goal you have, there's an agenda. And, you don't go to the office to smell the aroma of the office. It's not a spiritual experience, right? We think, we act, we try to squeeze out as much as we can from that office, from our work. Basically, our physical mind, physical aspect, the physical space we live in, or the mental space we live in, but we don't live in the space of spiritual, the heart, the soul. But Srimad Bhagavatam, or when you go to a nature walk, we enter the heart space where we want not only to be present, we want to be influenced by the energy there. When you go to a forest, you go with this mood that I want to be influenced by this. I go to Chowpatty Beach sometime in the morning. I see people, they come there early in the morning because they want to take all the sattva that is there. So we need to have the same mood when we are hearing Bhagavatam, especially when we are hearing the verses. Sometimes we don't understand the verses. It's okay. It's okay. Move on. Just allow the sound to purify. That sound will nourish us. That sound will reveal everything. So therefore, Bhagavatam is different. There is nothing to achieve. I want to congratulate you. Your search has ended. You don't have to worry. Now you are at the safe place. You have come to Srimad Bhagavatam. Just be present. Just hear. Just bask in the presence of your Supreme Beloved. Just like if you love someone, you will just be with that person. I remember, I was doing a preaching program in Borivali for many years, congregation preaching. So one girl, she was in, I think, 10th standard. She used to come with her parents. And for a long time, she didn't come for the class. So then anyway, I saw that she's a teenager. Why should she come for my classes? And her parents would push her to come. And naturally, she wouldn't come. So it was okay. But one day, I saw her in the class. And she was all excited. Her eyes were lit up. And she had another friend with her. And like, and the whole, I was wondering what is happening to her, why she's so excited about, the spiritual program. But then I continued the class. After the class, everybody was having prasadam. I was meeting everyone. Then she came with her mother, she and her friend. And both these girls were like, they said, Prabhuji. I felt, yes, what happened? Prabhuji, we have great news. They had won some contest. And the prize of that contest was a dinner date with the two of them. You could take another person with you. Two of you could go for a dinner evening with one very famous, this is 2015, 26, some very famous movie star. I don't remember the name. I think it was Hrithik Roshan or somebody, I don't know, Ayushmann Khurrana, some very big name. And these girls were saying, Prabhuji, we're going to have dinner with him next Saturday. We won the contest. He's going to be there with us for 2 hours. I felt, wow, really? I mean, they were like so excited about how they won the contest and all that. And I was thinking, just imagine, I'm getting every day 2 hours with Krishna. Why I'm not so excited? Krishna is much more attractive than this movie star. And these girls, I was just looking at them very, sincerely, I was looking at them and looking at their innocent excitement. And this star will fade away one day. And then when they went, and before going, they said, Prabhuji, please bless us. Okay, I said, okay, I wish you all the best. And then they went, and then they came back. After 2 weeks, I met them again. I asked them, how was the dinner program? Oh, it was so nice. We took selfies. They showed me all the photographs, and they were like so excited. I said, did you realize how the 2 hours went? He said, no, Prabhuji, 2 घंटा कैसे गया? पता ही नहीं चला. I said, chanting में क्यों नहीं लगता हमको ऐसा? 2 घंटा चला गया. No, why we find it a burden? And then they said, Prabhuji, I didn't look at the watch even once. But when my mother makes me chant, I'm like desperate to finish. So the point I'm saying is Krishna is all attractive. Krishna is most attractive. And the whole idea is when we're coming for Bhagavatam classes, we need to come in that mood. Primarily that I'm spending time with Krishna, who is in the form of his sound vibration. Some things I may understand, some things I may don't understand, but that's okay. And when we have this mood, then Bhagavatam will be simply wonderful. We will relish Bhagavatam. So there are these 3 Purusha incarnations, Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Shirodaksha Vishnu. And the intricacies are there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And in fact, you can personally chat with me and, I can share with you the links and other things. I can connect you to people if you're really interested. But you have to understand, all the elaborate arrangements are made. Our Vaishnava Acharyas have given purports, because these purports are written in the 15th century, 16th century by Baldev Vidyabhushan and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. When explaining these elaborate, intricate material creation, they have said that the Lord has done all this with there are 2 things, there are 2 agendas here. Basically, the Lord does all this so that the soul can make 2 statements. We are supposed to make 2 statements to the Lord. And for us to make these 2 statements, this entire creation is made. And what are these 2 statements? The first is, Krishna, my dear Lord, I accept you. That is the first. The second, Krishna, I agree to serve you. I'll repeat. What is the first statement? My dear Lord, I accept servitorship to you. I accept you as my Lord. And second, I agree to serve you. In this world, we struggle to get people to accept, isn't it? We struggle to get people to accept us for who we are, and we struggle to get them to agree with us. I don't know if I've experienced this. I mean, whoever you are, you may be the richest man in the world, but in the spirit, forget in this world. Spiritual world, there are desire fulfilling trees, there is Supreme Lord. Even Supreme Lord, Krishna cannot force us to agree with him. We have chosen to rebel. And in this world also, we are trying to get people to accept us. We are trying to get people to agree with us. How many of you have experienced in life that, you have your best friend and you think, Arey, wo dosti mein maan jayega, mera dost hai. Someone you care for, someone who cares for you. But you'll see that, they will not say, they'll tell you, I don't accept what you say. They will not agree to serve you all the time. It's so common. So all the Jamela we are reading about all the, incarnation, the creation, all of this, it is so that our false ego is so strong and we are refusing to surrender. So The whole arrangement is made so that we come back to him. The material world is created so that we are pulverized, so that we are crushed, and we surrender to Krishna and say, Krishna, I'm yours. Krishna, I'm tired of this. Krishna, bahut ho gaya. That one teardrop Krishna wants to see. So it is difficult because the false ego prevents us from surrender. False ego is like, dynamite. It creates a lot of explosion in a lot of relationships. You've seen that dynamite, that goal. It looks like Tirupati Laddu, but there is a lot of difference between Tirupati Laddu and a dynamite. False ego is not like Tirupati Laddu. False ego is not sweet. False ego causes explosions, relationships break, children leave parents, and there is divorce, and there is families breaking, property disputes. Oh, false ego can cause havoc. And this is there inside all of us. And therefore, we need to understand that we have to surrender to Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes in the purport that material world is like a minefield. In a minefield, anytime there can be an explosion. And there are a lot of chunks of misery that are let loose in our lives. Therefore, to attract all of us, such a system exists so that, we understand the whole thing and then we go back to Krishna. So the intention, the purpose of intention is very important. So therefore, we have chanted the introduction. Now we are going to get into the details. Verse number 6 to 27 is going to be the list of all the incarnations. Not all, some of the incarnations. And in these verses, number 6 to 27, we are going to read about 22 incarnations of Krishna. How many? 22. Now, does Krishna have only 22 incarnations? As you read this list, you will come to the end where it is said Krishna has unlimited incarnations. Then why only 22 are mentioned? Is it that they are the most important or they are the latest incarnations? What is it? No, most relevant are mentioned, especially those are mentioned who are later on elaborated in the other sections of Srimad Bhagavatam. But it is clarified very clearly by Sutta Goswami that these 22 is not an exhaustive list. This is like we say, we give names and we say, etc. Some names we give as examples. So these names are simply mentioned. This is not like the most important, or it's not that these are the only incarnations. So can we chant verse number 6? So we'll chant. The first incarnation is mentioned here. See, just imagine if all the incarnations are mentioned, Bhagavatam would be so voluminous. So basic little bit. In fact, Lord Ram, in the 9th canto, only 2 chapters are there on Lord Ram. You will say, why only 2 chapters? This is discrimination. Arey, nahi, Ramayana hai na, Ramayana padho na. Bhagavatam is like, it's Parikshit Maharaj had only 7 days. So everything had to be given to him in a rapid course, 7 days. So anyway, so we'll go to 6th verse. The first incarnation mentioned here is the 4 Kumaras. We'll start. Sa eva pratamam deva Kaumaram sargama ashrita Chachara duscharam brahma Brahmacharyam akhanditam.
First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were the 4 unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who, being situated in a vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for realization of the absolute truth.
Okay, now as we read all the incarnations, see, they are explained very well in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Krishna is Swayam Rupa, then there is Vaibhav Prakash. All the technical curiosity will be satisfied, and there is a detailed course also on this. But again, I want you to know that, see, I'm not saying we should not study them seriously. It is just that, in fact, Chaitanya Charitamrita says we should study scriptures in detail. Siddhanta boliye chitte na karo alas. Don't be lazy to study philosophy. Siddhanta boliye chitte na karo alas. Ya hoite Krishna lage sudrida manas. Apply your mind completely. Now, but we also have a capacities, we need to be honest about how much we can grasp and how much we can understand. And there is a lot of, see, what I understood from this entire list of 22 incarnations is Krishna has unlimited variety. Spiritual variety is unlimited. And as we read, and we need to just read attentively, and then what happens is, the list is to make us understand that how Krishna has unlimited incarnations. And you'll see in the later on, it is mentioned just like river has unlimited waves coming. So what happens by this is we train ourselves to see God everywhere. When you see so many incarnations, and it is mentioned that Krishna has unlimited incarnations, then we learn to see God all the time. And when you learn to see God all the time, then we become Krishna conscious. That's the whole idea. In fact, Srila Prabhupada says in Kunti's in teachings of Queen Kunti that we request a drunkard. He says even a drunkard, when he's drinking wine, he can understand that the taste of this wine is Krishna. I mean that this is not. A drunkard can see Krishna in his wine, but that doesn't mean a devotee drinks to see Krishna in the wine. There's a lot of difference. So the point is, we can see Krishna anywhere, in any situation. So therefore, these incarnations are mentioned. Like Nawab Hussain Shah was a great king. He was a bad king. But when he entered Sanatana Goswami's house, Sanatana Goswami got up and respected him. So Srila Prabhupada says he was a cruel meat eater and a very Yavana king. Why Sanatana Goswami respected him? Because he was a king. King was carrying that potency of the vibhuti of Krishna. It is Krishna Shakti. So he was respecting that energy of Krishna by respecting that king. Like recently, Lata Mangeshkar, she passed away. Now, what is her voice? She had such an amazing voice. That voice gives us a glimpse of Krishna, God's Shakti. You can imagine how amazing the Lord is, because that beautiful voice is a manifestation of the Lord. So that's why we learn to see Krishna in every situation. Ruling potency comes from Krishna. All opulences come from Krishna. So when we see in our material world also, day-to-day life, when we see opulences, we learn to become Krishna conscious. Like if a woman sees, say, let's say the most beautiful woman in India, I don't know whoever she is, the most beautiful woman. So how will a woman feel? Does she feel envious? Like if a young boy, if a young man sees the most handsome man, does he feel, oh, I wish I was like him? Like when we were very new devotees, See, this is a test. You can know whether you're making spiritual advancement by simply this one test. You want to know if you're making spiritual advancement or not? Just you have a small test. When you see somebody excelling in something, if you feel, oh, I wish I was like that, that is one feeling. It's okay. Natural, human maybe. Like, when we were young, if somebody gave good classes, somebody sang good kirtan, somebody did something well, oh, I wish I could do that. But there's another mentality also. Like recently, Monday Guru Puja is very popular in our temple. All brahmacharis are dancing and it's very exciting. So Purushottam Prabhu was singing and everybody was dancing. And it was so sweet. Everybody was together. And I remember spontaneously, a couple of us, 2 or 3 of us, we were like, we went and hugged Purushottam Prabhu. And, we were wishing that he continues to sing like this forever. And we wanted him to be blessed with more and more Shakti, to do more and more kirtans. So, when we see some opulence, if we see Krishna there, or if we can appreciate that opulence, then we are making advancement. Generally, we become insecure. Our ability to celebrate others' success is indicative of our own spiritual advancement. So, when you see something beautiful, like, so what happens when we see all opulences in the nature, and then we say, oh, this is Krishna Shakti. So we become Krishna conscious. And then when you see somebody exhibiting that Krishna Shakti, we will not be envious of him. So therefore, the best way to overcome envy is to be conscious of Krishna's potency. To know that, oh, Lata Mangeshkar is singing so well, she's able to sing so well because Krishna has given her that potency. So then, if you're a singer, you'll never be envious of Lata Mangeshkar. Like that. This is an example I'm giving. So whenever we see an opulence, if we see that as coming from Krishna, then we make spiritual advancement. So this is the way, basically the ability to thank Krishna, ability to glorify Krishna. So therefore, Krishna has given so much variety. Like, I've, we practice gratitude. Many devotees do that. Gratitude is also of two types. I'm just telling you for that. These are all simple things by which you can connect with Krishna in day-to-day life. One way of gratitude is, Krishna, today I did 10 things. Thank you so much for these 10 things I could do today. Today I did walking, or today I did deity worship, and today I did cooked for devotees, or today blah blah blah. And so, Krishna, thank you so much. But if you see, there is something here. All the 10 things I'm thanking Krishna for are those things where I did something. We can also have another category of gratitude where we thank Krishna for things that are done to us. Where it's like, for example, like 10 things I thank Krishna for, but yesterday one of the boys who was working in the temple, he brought me pomegranate. And he said, Prabhuji, and I was like, so I didn't ask for it. I'd forgotten to remind him, but he remembered. So now this is something that was given to me. So if I can express gratitude for that, then I learn to see Krishna more in day-to-day life. Small things, like somebody gave me a box and I said, I don't need it. But then as an afterthought, I said, okay, give it. And I kept it. And then one of my very dear friends came after 2 hours later, and I had some Mahaprasad lying. And this box came in handy, and he had just 2 minutes left, and he was about to go. And immediately I could pack the Mahaprasad and give him. And after he left, I said, oh, Krishna, you sent that devotee with that box. So what I'm trying to say is, many things happen to us in life. And if we can also see how Krishna is orchestrating those events, then our gratitude becomes deeper, and that becomes a practice. And later on, we are able to see Krishna in most, like Prabhupada could see Krishna 24 hours, right? We can't see Krishna 24 hours. But if we can consciously see Krishna in 1 or 2 events in a day, then eventually a time will come when we'll see Krishna 10 times a day. Like, sometimes I'm writing journal and then I get some ideas. So where did these ideas come from? Okay, simple thing. You left your bead bag in the temple and you're taking darshan and you're going. And you're about to enter the car and suddenly you remember, oh, your bead bag is in the temple. You come back and you take the bead bag. And then you can always thank Krishna. Krishna, where did this remembrance come from? Just like if you're with your person you love, if you're with your lover and your lover tells you, you forgot your bead bag. Oh, then you say thank you, and then you run and take the bead bag. So Krishna is like that lover in the heart. So whenever you remember anything you have forgotten, you can see it as Krishna who is next to you reminding you. I try to memorize verses and then I forget, and then I remember, thank you, Krishna. So the point I'm saying is, this is how we remember Krishna. This is how we try to show gratitude to Krishna. And these incarnations you're going to read now, lot of incarnations are mentioned in the Bhagavatam. This is a variety to help us increase and improve our remembrance of Krishna. There are so much variety. In every incarnation, Krishna comes. There is, in one yuga is red, one yuga is golden color, Kali Yuga. There is a black, yellow incarnation. So there is so much variety. Even in Prasadam feast, we need variety, right? If every day you are served khichdi, you don't like it. We need salad, we need 2 sabzis, and we need farsan item. So in Prasadam also we need variety. So incarnation also there is variety. And you'll read now, the list of incarnations going to be mentioned is so amazing. Because Krishna wants to make sure. Because Krishna is so compassionate. He knows that the rebellious souls, we don't want to surrender to Krishna. He wants us to somehow come back to him. So he doesn't know, Krishna doesn't know which mood and which avatar will click to us. Each one of us will be attracted by different avatar. Which aspect of Krishna consciousness will attract us? So some are attracted by kirtan, some by books, some by prasadam, right? And some by Tulsi Arti. I know one person who comes for Tulsi Arti every day. He doesn't come for Mangala Arti. He just is attached to Tulsi Arti. There is one person who comes at 7:45. He's coming for many years. He comes exactly for that Govindam Adi Purusham prayers in the morning. And you know what? He doesn't even know the prayers. And once I stood next to him and I heard him chant, I was shocked by what he was chanting. He said, Govindam Adi Purusham. It's like Tamaham Bhajami. But he was saying, Govindam Hare Krishna Paramatma Shanti. I was like, what is he saying? And then I went a little far and I tried to hear and I tried to sing the words, and I also heard it like that. So maybe the first time he came, He thought that Govindam Hare Krishna, Paramatma Shanti, for that entered his system, and he's been chanting that loudly every day. And when I try to hear that, it appears to me also the same thing. But he is ecstatic, he is blissful. So I wanted to, many times I was tempted to tell him, Prabhu, it is not Hare Krishna, it is Adi Purusham. But then I said, no, he's enjoying it, let him enjoy. Krishna will know, Krishna will know the intention. So somehow he's coming to Krishna. Even if he's chanting wrong, so, we are all attracted. See, Krishna is giving us multiple options to choose from. So you're going to read all these incarnations now. There are multiple choice. Some people, I know one friend who was very attached to tortoise. He had a hobby of collecting tortoises. So Krishna comes as Kurma avatar. Somebody loves fish. So he's there. Krishna is there as Matsya avatar. In Bengal they call fish as Jaler Sabji. So they love fishes in Bengal. So, Bhagwan aaye fish ke roop mein. Acha, Krishna has come as fish. So, like so many options. You can go to Vaikuntha, there are so many varieties in Vaikuntha also. So why I'm saying all this before we begin the list of incarnations is so that you know the intention of the Lord. I wanted to make the intention of the Lord very clear. So many incarnations are there so that we go back to Krishna. That's all. It is pure compassion. And only when we have faith in a person's intention, our relationship continues. Isn't it? So if you have faith in Krishna's intention, then we'll read Bhagavatam for the next so many years. We need to have this faith that these incarnations are for us. This is not some academic study that we are doing. This is not an academic study group that you have started on Tuesday morning so that you become an expert Pandit in Bhagavatam. No, we have started this so that we learn to have faith in Krishna's intention. We make our relationship strong with Krishna and we go back to him. The purity of Lord's intention is coming out here. He really, really wants us to come back to him. In this world, any difficulty in any relationship begins with the doubt on a person's intention. Isn't it? This doubt is what obstructs us from having an ability of, a deep relationship. Therefore, the basis of Sambandha Jnana is the purity of the Lord's intention. And this has to be punched into our system. And the Lord, we have to always remind ourselves the Lord is all good. He wants us to come back to him and he's created this variety so that we get attracted to him. So this is the background. So he's giving us a shopping mall experience. You come here, read about all the incarnations. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India. He met this Kurma Brahmin who was a great devotee of Kurma Dev. So there are devotees of Kurma Dev. There are devotees who love Narsimha Dev. So that's fine. So what we do is, Krishna says, you pick up the variety you like, but you come back home to me. Don't forget to come to me. That is the point. You pick up any variety, no problem. So we meditate on Krishna's intention as we read Bhagavatam from today onwards. And in this verse, which we read just now, the first verse, 4 Kumaras are mentioned. And you will know more about them where you have just one verse is mentioned about 4 Kumaras here, right? Now you may say, Prabhuji, but I am attracted by the 4 Kumaras. I want to know more. Okay. So you can read 3rd canto, 12th chapter for more details. So briefly, who they are? They are sons of Brahma, the 4 of them. And what is the first thing they did? They disobeyed their father. You may say, Hare, aise kaise kiya unhone? So read Bhagavatam. Everything I'll not tell you. So there has to be some excitement also, right? And they remained celibates and they refused to grow up. So why they did that? What happened? Bhagavatam is there for you to read. And they also give instructions to Prithu Maharaj that you will find in the 4th canto, where 4 Kumaras give beautiful instructions to Prithu Maharaj. And in the 3rd canto, we find a dramatic pastime where the 4 Kumaras curse Jaya and Vijay. And if we continue our Bhagavatam discussions, one day very surely we will reach 3rd canto also. So hopefully, let us pray that we reach that. We'll also chant verse 7, the next incarnation. Please repeat after me. Dvitiyam to bhavayasya rasatala gata mahim udarishyan upadatta Yagyesha Saukaram Vapu.
Yagyesa Saukaram Vapu.
The supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices accepted the incarnation of a boar, the second incarnation, and for the welfare of the earth, he lifted the earth from the nether regions of the universe.
You'll find more about Varahadev. This is Varahadev. You'll find more about him in the 3rd canto, 17th and 18th chapter. It's a beautiful pastime where he kills Hiranyaksha. And we'll also chant verse 8. Please repeat after me. Tritiyam Rishi Sargam Vai
Tritiyam Rishi Swargam Ye
Devarshitvam Upetyasa
Devarshitam Upetasya
Tantram Satvatam Achashta
Tantram Satvatam Atasta
Naishkarmyam Karmanam Yata.
Naishkarmayam Karman Yataha. In the millennium of rishis.
In the millennium. Go ahead, Prabhuji.
No, please.
In the millennium of the rishis, the personality of Godhead accepted the 3rd empowered incarnation in the form of Devarshi Narada, who is a great sage among the demigods. He collected expositions of the Vedas which deal with devotional service and which inspire non-fruitive action.
So Narada is all other incarnations. I will tell you, 3rd canto of this chapter, 4th canto of this chapter. Narad Muni is one person who will come in all cantos. He is very, very special personality. So we'll read about him more later. So we'll chant one more verse, verse 9. Please chant. Repeat after me. Turiye dharma kala sarge Nara Narayana Vrishi Bhutvatmopasamopetam Akaro Dushacharam Tapa.
In the 4th incarnation, the Lord became Nara and Narayana, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. Thus, he undertook severe and exemplary penances to control the senses.
So Narnarayan Rishi will find in 4th canto, 1st chapter, then 11th canto, then 12th canto. So have patience, be excited. There's a lot to read in Bhagavatam. And verse 10 also will chant. Is it okay? We can take a few more minutes because some of you came in late and there was some confusion. So we'll just chant a few more verses. Text 10. Panchama Kapilo Nama Siddesha Kala Viplutam Provacha Suraye Sankyam Tattvagrama Vinirnayam.
The 5th incarnation, named Lord Kapila, is foremost among perfected beings. He gave an exposition of the creative elements and metaphysics to Asuri Brahmana, for in course of time, this knowledge had been lost.
So Kapila Dev, 3rd canto dedicated to him. A lot of the detailed discussions will be there. Now text 11. Shashtam Atarer Apatyatvam Vrita Prapto Nasuyaya Anvikshikim Alarkaya Prahaladadibhya Uchivan.
The 6th incarnation of the Purusha was the son of the sage Atri. He was born from the womb of Anusuya, who prayed for an incarnation. He spoke on the subject of transcendence to Alarka Prahlada, and others, Yadu, Haihaya, etc.
So this is Dattatreya. We will read about him in the 4th canto, 1st chapter. Text 12. Tataha saptama akotyam rucher yagyo vijayata sa yamadye sura ganer apat swayambhuvantaram.
The 7th incarnation was Yajna, the son of Prajapati Ruchi and his wife Akuti. He controlled the period during the change of Swayambhuva Manu and was assisted by demigods such as his son Yama.
So this is also in the 4th canto, you will find. So now we will read translations next time. I want you to read and come. 13 to 26, you can please read and come. And we will also read the verses because, just chanting the verses is purifying. So although you will read the translations and come, we'll just chant the verses because these verses are not different from Krishna. And by chanting the verses, we get connected to Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.